Dr. Peter Phillips is finally speaking out. He is revealing a lot of secrets. Dr. Peter Phillips has finally made an admission that his failed attempt more than 10 years ago to wrestle power from People's National Party's president, Portia Simpson Miller, was as a result of a bad decision. According to Dr. Peter Phillips, he received bad advice. And whilst the People's National Party is still struggling to search for answers after it was badly beaten at the parliamentary polls in September 2020 by the Jamaica Labour Party, who took all of 49 seats to their 14 seats, Dr. Peter Phillips has finally acknowledged that he underestimated the depth of the issues that existed and permeated the People's National Party. Based on statements coming from Dr. Peter Phillips, it seems that he may have regrets about challenging Portia Simpson Miller for the leadership of the People's National Party in 2008. It makes us wonder if he has any regrets about the additional challenge that he put up against Portia Simpson Miller following that. Of course, he's also admitting that he was not aware of the magnitude and the potential devastating impacts of the divisiveness that existed in the People's National Party during his tenure. Dr. Peter Phillips became the president of the People's National Party in 2017, after Portia Simpson Miller retired. There were suggestions, however, that he placed his personal ambitions above the interests of the political organization. Sources within the PNP have stated that Dr. Peter Phillips was stubborn because he refused to step aside in the face of various opinion polls, which predicted an embarrassing electoral defeat for the PNP under his leadership 2 months prior to the September 3rd general elections. According to Dr. Peter Phillips, changing leadership 2 months prior to the general elections would have been devastating for the PNP. Dr. Peter Phillips further went on to state that it would have been symbolic of cowardice on his part, and it would have also symbolized a dereliction of duty. Based on Dr. Peter Phillips' opinion, if he were to leave the party just 2 months prior to the general elections on September 3, 2020, it would have been problematic for the party, and it would have also signaled that he was a coward and that he was abandoning his responsibilities in the face of pressure. He further went on to state that he has never placed personal considerations above that of the party, although he acknowledged that he may have made errors in judgment. He further went on to state that he is not consumed by the fact that he is now the first PNP president not to serve as Prime Minister of Jamaica. According to Dr. Peter Phillips, it does not bother him. It has happened. What I have to do is learn to live with it. Phillips has also mentioned that the PNP suffered a crushing defeat to Andrew Holness and the Jamaica Labour Party in September because of the issues that permeated the party, and this led to them just being able to win 14 out of the 63 parliamentary seats. He further went on to mention that it was not a pleasant experience to have only won 14 out of the 63 parliamentary seats. No one likes to lose. It was a disappointment without a doubt. In 2008, just months after the PNP lost power to Bruce Golding and the JLP, Dr. Peter Phillips used a political rally in the East Kingston community of Harbourview to confirm that he would be challenging Portia Simpson Miller for the presidency of the People's National Party. And looking back at this time, Dr. Peter Phillips is saying that that decision was ill-advised. It was in response to the demands of thousands of comrades at all levels of the party and it was the demand coming from citizens across Jamaica who had asked that he accept the nomination to lead this process of renewal, and he answered the call with a resounding yes. The challenge, Dr. Peter Phillips explained, was his way of trying to defend a widely accepted convention in the political arena. When you lose, at least offer the party a chance to make a judgment, and that I felt strongly about at that time. Therefore, I chose to put up a challenge to Portia Simpson Miller for the presidency of the People's National Party. At that time, his action was setting a precedent that he would later have to deal with, in the form of the Bunting Challenge. According to Dr. Peter Phillips, I kind of unlocked the door for a pattern of challenges in the future. A lot can be said about when you shatter conventions, if you run a risk, and in hindsight, maybe that was something that was ill-advised. When asked if he regretted the decision to challenge Simpson Miller, Dr. Peter Phillips mentioned that he has always said that regret is a wasted emotion because you cannot change anything that has already happened. In September 2019, 2 years into Dr. Peter Phillips' tenure as president of the PNP, he barely managed to defeat former Manchester Central Member of Parliament Peter Bunting with a 76-vote majority. However, that challenge between the Rise United team, led by Peter Bunting and Mark Golding, against the one PNP team, has been blamed for many of the issues that continue to permeate the People's National Party. There have been claims that Bunting's challenge to Dr. Peter Phillips may have caused issues. However, Dr. Peter Phillips is insisting that he was not yet ready to discuss this issue. Therefore, there is no comment on that. According to him, however, that issue seems to be water under the bridge. There is a time for that discussion, and now is not that time. Well, based on the statement, it seems like Dr. Peter Phillips is still carrying feelings about the Bunting Challenge of 2019. When the dust settled on the bitter and contentious internal elections of 2019, there were extremely deep divisions that emerged between party supporters that were aligned to either Dr. Peter Phillips and Lisa Hanna's one PNP team and Bunting and Golding's Rise United team. However, the parliamentary elections came in 2020 and the leadership of the PNP went into damage control. However, it was not sufficient. As part of the efforts to present a united front, the top members of Peter Bunting's failed campaign from Rise United returned to the shadow cabinet, and they even got positions of prominence. However, Dr. Peter Phillips has now acknowledged that the divisions and the divisiveness and the fractiousness within the PNP was almost irretrievable and was a condition that would permeate up until the point of the election. He stated that it extended throughout the entire period of his tenure as leader of the party. If anything, I underestimated, despite my efforts to unify the party, the degree of the division. Dr. Peter Phillips started out as a senator, and he further became a state minister in the office of the Prime Minister between 1989 and 1991. He later went on to become the Minister of Special Projects from 1991 to 1994. He won his St. Andrew East Central seat in 1994 and served as Minister of Health for 2 years between 1995 and 1997. He was Minister of Transport and Works between 1998 and 2001 and was the Minister of National Security between 2001 and 2007. He was the Minister of Finance and Planning for Jamaica under Portia Simpson Miller's administration between 2012 and 2016. As he leaves the national political stage, Dr. Peter Phillips wants to use his time to engage in something productive. He wants to engage in academic research. Of course, he also hopes to bring greater clarity to the reasons for Jamaica having not have made as much progress as other countries within the region and the rest of the world in areas such as sustained economic growth and improved quality of life for its citizens. According to Dr. Peter Phillips, it is not his intention to make a lot of noise. It is his understanding that he needs to find answers and solutions to be able to share it as he arrives at his various conclusions in an effort to stimulate an intellectual discussion. He further went on to state that this discussion will not be one where everybody will be talking off the top of their heads. It will be a discussion that pulls on people who are doing serious research and analysis locally, in the region or internationally, having to bear on some of these issues to share the benefits of their thought processes. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Do you also agree with Dr. Peter Phillips that his decision to challenge Portia Simpson-Miller in 2008 was as a result of bad decision-making and bad advice that he received? Do you also agree that he underestimated the level, the impact, and the magnitude of the divisiveness that was permeating through the PNP during the tenure of his leadership of the party? Of course, at this time, they are trying to rebuild. They're trying to re-engage the electorate. They're trying to re-engage the youth within the party. It is their understanding that they need to work towards unity so that they can become the party of choice for the Jamaican electorate. Dr. Peter Phillips has had an excellent tenure as a political force to be reckoned with in Jamaica. He has served in many ministries, and he has done well in each of those portfolios. But of course, many will say that he would have failed to become Prime Minister of Jamaica. But according to Dr. Peter Phillips, it is in the past. It has already happened, and he has accepted that. Of course, his intentions are to contribute to academia and research through intellectual discussions about Jamaica moving forward. Of course, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.